Well, good morning. Welcome to the House of Broken Dobbs Things. And while we're not quite broken, we're trying to make some improvements here. This is the Volvo 850. It's early December 2021. It's kind of cool outside, but the car is actually in the garage. For those of you who've been on this channel for a long time, you know what a Galilee class miracle that was. So it's in here. All the machines are in here too. So talk about your optimization of space. So, what we're working on today is we're going to take a look at the turbo intercooler piping, and we've got some stuff set out here. You probably noticed the glaring orange right out in the center. I went ahead and custom printed, 3D printed several plugs to allow me to have some options to be able to test the system. I'm going to be able to block off pretty much every joint in here, from the turbocharger in the back all the way up through to the intercooler and back out to the throttle body. This is a low pressure system. Nothing's been modified. It's basically bone stock, and just looking to make sure that everything is tight. Every one of these rubber joints you see here are, they're old, but they seem to be in reasonable serviceable condition. So we'll take a look. One in the back here, where I was going to go ahead and start this. So I went ahead and made this one with an injection port right here. If you'll notice, ooh, nice fit, Dan. Yep. So we're going to take that one, and that will be the source of injecting pressure and smoke, because this is more than just this one. We're also going to be bringing in the Antec S2000 little pressure and smoke injector to work on the system. We also can check the vacuum lines and stuff like that, but we're focusing on the turbo today. We'll be introducing this little guy. We've got a lot of uses for it, and we'll be able to do it. This is an unpaid. This is no donation. I paid for all of this, so there's nothing there from a commercial nature in this video. And from that one, what's nice about the little unit, and we'll get into more details, it is powered off the vehicle. It requires no air compressor. So it's pretty much self-contained, and it runs off baby oil for the smoke side. So we'll bring that up, but I just wanted to get this started. And within this, this plug right here is going to be for the air cleaner. So I'll be able to plug that off over there. And then, let's see here, all of these. And I had to label them because there's so many. Intercooler in or out, throttle body. This is a hose that will be going to the throttle body. I'll be able to cap that off. Okay, before my wife rudely interrupted, made a throttle body plug. Made one for the idle control. Right in there, you can see they fit nice and snug. We'll be able to put, this is the tube going down to the throttle body. It sits in there basically like that. And this is the one going across the top of the engine. Not sure why the camera kicked out, but it did. This is the one that goes across the top of the engine. Okay, GoPro keeps kicking in and out. Not sure what's going on with that one. Looks like I need to go to the farm store and get a plug. But from this one, just goes to the throttle body. Right over here. Black tape on there. I got a little bit better fit. This is a hard plastic pipe going down to the inlet to the turbo. So I gave it a little something to give, more so than just hard plastic and hard plastic. I gave it some electrical tape to sit there and fill that void. So we've got in, and I'm going to put this hose back on right here. That will take care of that. And then coming out, I'm going to put this one back in here, and that is going to block that off. So this is the far end, and that's the far end. So air goes in, and smoke goes through the piping, down through the intercooler, and back out to the throttle body. Actually goes in the bottom of the intercooler, out the top to the throttle body, and we'll have it all plugged off. So the air inlet going through the turbo, coming out, it should all be plugged off. I think there may be one or two little lines on the air tube over there I need to do, but that should take care of the turbo pressurization. Or aren't you going to check the manifold too? Sure, I will. But this way I can actually segment and get the turbocharger all on its own, not worried about other stuff, so I can actually pressurize it and find out. There's a little hole in the bottom of the intercooler we need to deal with. Not a big deal. That's where they basically use the pressure to blow out any condensation. Prevents throttle body icing and a few things like that. So that's there. We'll have to deal with it because we will have a leak automatically because of that. And I'll get down there and have a look at it. And we'll be able to pressurize and then add smoke to this if we want, and then see what happens. So I'm going to get everything on, get everything tightened, and then we'll bring you back and find out how many holes we've got. All right, we'll bring you back. Everything's going pretty well. I have the S2000 cranked up, and we are just short of 10 pounds of pressure on the intercooler system. Just kind of using my pointing instrument here. I've got the adapter back here going straight out of what would be going into the turbo, coming out through all of the intercooler piping all the way back up to the throttle body, and I've actually added a plug for the idle air control. So I've got it smoking, and I've got almost 10 pounds of boost, which is probably more than this car will legitimately ever see by the way I drive it. And I've got no trace of smoke. I do have a little leakage coming around the intercooler. I did put a screw in it. I wrapped the screw with Teflon really heavily and then just gently screwed it in. I didn't want to cause a crack or anything, so I just added that. And as of right now, the good news is I don't see any big leaks. Well, what do you mean? Well, if you can look at this tube, it is under pressure. I can't squeeze that. So it is loaded up just like it would be under full boost. We're sitting in the garage. We've got all the time we need, and we're not leaking anywhere, which is a problem because I wasn't making full boost the other day, and I did do the IPD boost control solenoid. I'm quite certain I've installed it correctly, but I also did the boost control blow-off valve on the turbo itself. It may not be seated fully, causing it to have some leakage. So yeah, those are a pain. Not a lot of fun. So I wanted to test this side of the system. What's really nice about this is I can test it here as long as I want. No problem. I don't have to look for an open stretch of highway to check for boost. I know that this side of the system is completely fine. So now I've got to go do or redo what I did before, which not a lot of fun, but hey, at least I know. Again, I 3D printed this, as well as this one back here in the back that's black, but it kind of blends in. But you see, I've made that as my port. So as this is under pressure, I got no smoke. I've been on top, I've been on bottom, nothing going on. Again, you can see those tubes are heavily pressurized right now, and everything seems to be just fine. So no leak in the intercooler itself, maybe a little bit around the weep hole that's out down there, but you need to plug that, by the way. If you're trying to do this yourself, it's not going to work out real well until you do plug it, because one of the things about this guy right here is you can see the boost right there running about 10 pounds. It doesn't have a lot of volume, okay? As you can see right here, I mean, it's got fluid level just about out of smoke, so I need to get in there and turn that off, but it doesn't have a lot of volume. It's like using a 12 volt air compressor. If you've ever used one of those to pump up a full-size tire, it takes a while. So from that standpoint, be patient. It will take a while to pump up because there's a lot of volume in those tubes compared to this. I'd say by the time you throw the intercooler in there, you've got a reasonably sized tire that you're trying to pump up. Plus, I'm not guaranteeing that everything in this system is absolutely 100% airtight. But it's holding that pressure pretty good after I shut it off, so we don't have any massive holes. Now, as with everything on this channel, there was a learning experience. When I first started to pressurize this up, it's like, oh my gosh, I got smoke already. This is horrible. 3D printed parts. This is PTEG. These two here. This is PLA here. Really pretty much no matter how you try it, you can do a bunch of settings. It's not airtight. How'd I know? Smoke was coming out. Shouldn't have been coming out. So what I did, in fairness to give full credit, my friend Randy, he loves shoe goo. Shoe goo. Yeah, the stuff you use to fix your shoes. A little bit of a light epoxy. Everywhere on the pressure side, I basically gave it a real thin coating of that, and it dries in no time. So I went around the inside edge. I'll give you an example of one here. Right here, you can see kind of a shiny thing. I gave it a little coat of shoe goo right here and along the seam. Out here is kind of irrelevant because if you seal this off, and this one's got a hole in it, but don't worry about that, but it basically sets up really fast, causes it to have a pretty much non-permeable barrier, and it takes care of all of those micro seams inside the 3D print, which was causing the leakage and getting my false smoke. So if you print a set of these, and there again, there's nothing really complex about it, before you start setting yourself up for a test, go ahead and seal all this off. Again, they were leaking like crazy when I first started, and it's like, oh man, I got to redo all the printing. No, no, no. Let's go low-tech and cheap. It works fine. If you can, right now, we've leaked off, I don't know, 1 or 2 PSIs, and again, I'm leaking some from the intercooler, but I have really no smoke coming out of any of these plugs that we made. Every one of these joints, it seems like they're all unique sized. So recommendation, if you're into 3D printing, is go ahead and set them up, make them, and then you have them. They'll never wear out or anything like that. One thing in the back I did try on this one, you can see it's kind of weird looking. I did use some of that, don't laugh, I used some of that spray sealer that you get, Flex Seal or whatever, and just shot it just for the fun. And I tried both methods. Either way seemed to be fairly effective. The shoe goo set up better, quicker. It was a little bit less messy. The Flex Seal is on here, but I tried to do it a little too quick before it had set up, and you could see it was trying to bubble out. So, okay, 6 of one, half a dozen other. But that's the Ancel S2000 tester. I'm pretty satisfied with it. It seems to have worked out just fine. Yep. You can see it's leaked off a couple of PSI since then, but it's okay. Won't be no big problem. But just for a quick run view of this one, 12 volts plus or minus to your battery. Here's the pressure port. Here's the power socket going in. This one initiates the little compressor. It has its own self-powering compressor. There's no external air needed or anything like that. Little fill port on the top for adding your baby oil. Boy, that stuff stinks. It burned the back of my throat for all night long. Anyway, well ventilated would be great, but it's winter in Michigan, so I heated the garage, so kind of stuck with it. So, air compressor's here. You fire that one up. And of course, it's noisy, just like you would expect, a little air compressor. Once that's running, and you kick this one on, this is what brings on the smoke. So, pressurize it first, see if it can make any pressure, and then turn the smoke on. If you can't make any pressure, what's the purpose of putting the smoke on until you're ready to go? So if you put the smoke on, you've got a leak, you'll be able to go looking for it. But if you can't build any pressure at all, you know you've got a huge leak. So, long story short, it works pretty good. Again, it's not cheap, but neither's my time sitting and chasing around trying to find something. Now, that was the intercooler side. We didn't do anything to the intake manifold, air cleaner box, any of that stuff. So what we did there is we completely isolated the intercooler side. It seems to be just fine. Any leakages there, it's going to be absolutely minimal compared to the volume that the turbo can generate. So again, I got to go take another look at the turbo. No fun. But hey, at least I know what it isn't. And then half of the fixing of these vehicles is knowing what it isn't. And then leaves over what you have left. So that's it for me. Thank you for tuning in. Again, good tool, good adapters. You could do this test in 15 minutes. And man, that takes out a whole lot of guessing. As opposed to, I think it's this, I think it's, no, now you know. It's not the tubing. So now I can go focus on the other side. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great week.